Good morning, welcome to this weekly market update by AGM Markets. Today is the 19th of June 2012. What we're going to do today is go through technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable, dollar Swiss, Aussie dollar and gold. We'll not be making any trade calls or recommendations. You trade at your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer at www.agmmarkets.com. If any new followers, we do have 3 moving averages in each of these charts. The red one is a 55 simple, the purple is a 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, let's have a look at Euro dollar. In terms of daily and really the moving averages, nothing much of too much interest. I mean, if we get a further sort of retracement to the upside, which looks like is very possible, then this 55-day moving average is at 1 spot 28.41. And then the 100-day moving average is at 1 spot 30, so still a way off those in the minute. But the 55 day is looking very interesting, and would not be surprised if we touch that maybe this week and most definitely next week. Also, in terms of, the only other bit of interest I have on this daily chart is the Fibonacci retracement from this high here down to the lows, and if we do get a further sort of pop to the upside, then that 50% retracement comes in at 1 spot 27.88. So we'll not be surprised if the swing traders who are biased to the downside, we'll not be surprised if we've got any sellers coming in at that 50% level. That'll be a key selling zone. But let's have a look at the shorter term chart. Let's flip it to the 4 hour, and actually let's look at last week, because what we had last week was we were focusing on, I can't remember, I think we were focusing on this fib here from the low to that high there, and you can see it played out very nice. I'll move it to the wide a little bit. You can see that we have this from the low to the high there, the 122 low to the 126 high, and you can see we had some nice candlestick action. Also, this 55 simple moving average confluence level there at the 50% retracement at 1 spot 24.70. We had some nice buyers coming in there, and we took out those 1 spot 26.46 highs as well. So that's a very nice fib. And funny enough, we're kind of getting a similar one coming in at the minute from this recent dip here, which is also a trend line, which I'll draw up in a minute, to that high there. So you've got a fib low there. It's a kind of clear swing fib as well from the high, and we're getting a similar sort of reaction at the 50% kind of slash 61.8, and we're starting to pop to the upside. So that's why fibs are very important, and that's why I like to use them. But also the interesting thing about that second fib level is that it was a nice trend line support confluence as well. So you can see there, if you draw that trend line there, you can see that we had a nice sort of bounce off the trend line support, and also the 55 EMA as well, holding very nicely, and we're starting to bounce up now. So this is a current fib setup in play, which a lot of people will be trading, I would have suspected. But no, very technical chart on Euro. But yeah, in terms of going into the week, this fib setup is definitely one to look out for, and just keep an eye on that trendline support. I'll draw it up again. That's one I'll definitely keep an eye out for. So in terms of this week, what we're looking for, keep an eye on that trendline support, and also that fib on the daily for any sellers that will be coming in that sort of 50% zone. And if we get any further retracement, well, let's say if we start to sell off, you draw a fib from that low to the high there, and see what happens at the 50%, which comes in at 1 spot 25.70. But no, very technical chart. Euro, it's definitely one of the better ones out at the minute. Let's have a look at cable. Let's flip it to the weekly. Actually, what we're focusing on this weekly, we spoke about it last couple of weeks, was this key support zone at the 1 spot 52.77 level. Had multiple bounces off that level, as you can see on that chart. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago that it was coming down to this level. And in these last 2 weeks, we've had 2 bullish candles coming off the support level. So very nice action there. Especially last week's candle, very bullish action indeed. And yeah, In terms of cable, in terms of the daily, the only really thing I'm focused on is what happens at this 200-day moving average. Are we going to get any sellers coming in? And also the longer term players who trade off the daily charts most probably will be focusing on this this fib setup here. So from those one spot 62.96 highs to the one spot 52.62 lows, that fib setup, the 50% fib retracement comes in at one spot 57.79, and the 61.8 comes in. What's going on there? And the 61.8 comes in at one spot 59.01. So that's definitely a fib setup that I keep on my charts. In terms of a shorter term chart, maybe a 4 hour, quite a similar action to Euro. We have this trendline support that will be worth keeping on your charts there. So if you get any sort of further sell off or further retracement to the downside, then we'll not be surprised to get some buyers coming in at that trendline support there. And you suppose you could, if we say we've topped out here, so you can draw that fib from the lows to the highs there. The sort of 61.8 could be a good level to look out for if we start to come down now, and that comes in at one spot 55.75. Okay, let's have a look. Move on to dollar Swiss. What do we have on dollar Swiss? I mean, it's been playing very similar to Euro, but pretty well. Imagine Euro dollar flipped upside down. This is what it will be look like. So instead of a trendline support on Euro, we have a trendline resistance on dollar Swiss, and it's literally identical. But so yeah, that's all I'm really kind of focused on in terms of dollar Swiss. Very, very similar to Euro going into the week. Instead of the trendline support, just keep an eye on the trendline resistance. You can see it's already starting to hold on the previous 4 hour candle, so not be surprised to see any further sellers. But yeah, all I've really be focusing on, and the only thing I've got massive interest in is this trendline resistance on dollar Swiss. Okay, let's have a look at the Aussie dollar. What do we have? If we flip it to the weekly, actually, we spoke about this fib setup on the weekly. So from those lows, we drop up to the highs. You can see that 50% level playing out very nicely. So a lot of long-term swing players will be looking at where I've already got in on that 0.9570 level. A lot of buyers coming at that level. Key fib level there. See, it reacted pretty much to the pip down there, and we've had the previous 2 weeks have reacted very nicely off that. In terms of a shorter term perspective, a lot of traders will keep an eye on this trend line here, but it looks like we're starting to break out of that now. So very, very bullish momentum on the Aussie dollar. In terms of sellers coming in, one fib I would definitely look out for is from these highs on the daily chart here to the low. What happens at that 50% level, similar to cable really, the 50% level comes in at one spot 0.221, and the 61.8 comes in at one spot 0.372. That's all I'll keep an eye on Aussie dollar for the week. Okay, that's the Forex done. Let's have a look at gold. What do we have on gold here? In terms of the weekly, very similar situation. We spoke about it many times before in this weekly, that sort of 15, I suppose you call it 1560s level, holding very technically on that Euro weekly chart. Key support level, but it's just struggling to get some real bullish momentum. Reason being, this 55 daily moving average was holding there, but we now seem to be above that. So gold has got plenty of room to come up here. We spoke about it last few weeks. A lot of people have been bearish gold because the Fed haven't been talking about QE, etc., etc. But it's been quite a good contrarian play here. A few people would be trading this to the upside. You can see that the momentum is really starting to creep up here. So keep an eye on that trendline resistance that I just drew there, and those moving averages. If we get above this 100 and 200, then we really could fly up on gold, and especially if there's any sort of QE announcement from the Fed, then we really will fly up. So quite an interesting chart, but nothing really has changed in terms of that gold chart that we've spoken about for a few weeks now. Okay, that's the charts done. Let's have a look at the Forex calendar. What have we already had out today? Out of the UK, we had the CPI year-on-year numbers came out at 2.8% weaker than forecast, which was 3%. Sorry, lower, I shouldn't say weaker. At 10 AM UK time, we had the German ZEW economic sentiment. That was forecast at 3.8. We had a shocking number there, minus 16.9. And at 1:30, which is pretty much as we speak, we've got the US building permits numbers forecasted at 0.73 million. And we've also got these G20 meetings out for the rest of the day. Tomorrow, 9:30 UK time, we've got UK claimant count change forecast at minus 3.1 thousand. We also have the MPC minutes as well at a similar time at 9:30. And that's pretty much quiet for most of the day. We have some mid-tier data, but instead of the high impact news, 5:30 of the FOMC statement out of the US, so be interesting to see what happens to gold there. And also at 7 o'clock we have the FOMC economic projections and press conference live with Ben Bernanke. On Thursday, we have a lot of PMIs there out of the Eurozone. They are mid-tier data, but a lot of PMIs, they do sort of affect the market. If they're all kind of weak or all very bullish, it will have an effect on the market. In terms of big UK news, we have some more UK news there. Retail sales at 9:30, forecast at 1.1%. We also have a 10-year bond auction out. Some Canadian news at 1:30. Out of the US at 3 o'clock we have existing home sales and Philly Fed manufacturing index. And on Friday we have Eurozone news with the German IFO business climate that's forecast at 106.2. We have the ECOFIN meetings as well. So yeah, not a bad week in terms of economic data. There's quite a bit of high impact news there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the technicals. Feel free to comment under the YouTube channel or on our Twitter channel. Have a great week trading, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening.